views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
The following audio is via a Skype call.
Welcome to Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio with Sarah Loos. Sarah Loos introduces us to her unique style that is creating massive transformational results for people across the globe in this hit show. If you want to propel yourself towards big breakthroughs of your own, make sure to bring your playful, magical self to the party as Sarah turns reality on end to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Step into enlightening minds, empowering hearts, expansive results. Blame, doubt, and fear are not invited.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Pat, and I am here with my co-host for today, Sara-lo. Sarah, small steps, big breakthroughs, all of the above. And here's what I want to ask you. Is today's show topic is one of my favorites, brazen, beautiful, brilliant you, what's not to love. That is so amazing because we can come up with our lists about what we have that is so not to love. What's up with that? And, this is something for you. You've been out in the world as somebody that helps women especially understand that they are this. Your work focuses on teaching us how to connect with spirit, how to connect with God, how to be able to show up as exactly the title of the show. So this topic in itself really talks to perhaps a level of consciousness that's going on out there. And I think especially for women. Welcome. It's great to have you here. What do you think?
Thanks, Pat. Yeah, it's great to be back. This is one of my favorite topics too, because, I think what most people don't get, your listeners, this group out here that we're talking to, they're on a spiritual path. And it's crazy how few people get that self-love is the key ingredient. It's the gem that starts this whole thing. And a lot of people don't get that. Yeah, let's talk about women, though. Let's go there first. Yeah. It's so important. There's a phenomena going on, I think, in our culture. We're aware of it, but the fact that I kind of feel like we go to sleep and don't realize how bad it's getting. Women are really depriving themselves of the ability to accept themselves as they are, to really find their authentic, beautiful, brilliant, brazen self inside. Because, between culture, media, that it's all about being flawless and, completely perfect, which is a lie. Nobody's perfect. And so we have this thing that we're trying to live up to, this level of beauty or false value. And so when you're competing against that, it's really difficult, right? You're constantly setting a bar that's beyond reach, and frankly, you shouldn't want to reach it. And the other thing that's happening, there's kind of three phenomena. There's the one that I just mentioned, which is all about beauty and worth from a level that the media presents. The other one that I notice is that if you start to feel good about yourself, people are going to put you down. Like, it makes me crazy when you see a gorgeous woman and all the other women in the room are standing back going, oh, look at her. She probably thinks she's all that in a bag of chips. And they're ragging on her. And my new favorite thing to do is to see a woman who's confident in herself and compliment her. I mean, we really need to start that, because she's finally, when she's found her confidence, the world wants her just to be modest and put it back in a box.
Yeah.
No. And the third thing that's happening, which is really crazy, I'm not going to get into this one in a lot of detail, but I want everybody to just think about this, because the implications run rampant in so many areas of our life. Women are trained in our world. It includes our beautiful, wonderful country that's supposed to be ahead of most every other countries. We are trained that we're not supposed to have pleasure and joy. We're supposed to give pleasure and joy to everybody else, but we're not really supposed to have it ourselves. There was a great TED talk about it that was more specific in the area of sex. But I want to take it beyond that. I mean, it goes in every single area. I heard her speaking the TED talk, and I was like, lady, I get it, but it goes beyond that. It's everywhere. We put our lives on hold to raise children. We put our lives on hold to make sure that our husbands get to a career level that they want to reach. We put so much of everything that our hearts desire on hold because we think that that's our obligation and our duty. And I'm here to say you can actually support the people you love in your life and support you, but it really starts with supporting and loving you first. That's when like miraculous things happen, miraculous things change, but it's counterintuitive.
Well, what I love about this is, we're talking about today, in the show, we're talking about raising beautiful, brilliant you, what's not to love. Well, here's the news flash. Hate is going to hate. And that's something that you put in, what we're talking about here today. Hate is going to hate. But listen, let's talk about it. If you're kind of growing up, as a woman, especially in this country right now, then there are aspects of this which you've been conditioned to absorb, meaning somebody walking up to you and saying something that ain't exactly just like complimentary, and we suck it in and we soak it in, and then we make it part of us, and we think, oh, I am imperfect. Maybe I got to go get a facelift. Maybe I got to go do this. Maybe I got to go do that. But you know what? This is a time to stand up and be proud and scream that we are powerful, brilliant. What did you say? Brazen? But here's the question for you. The work you do is to help women get there. What is it that you've discovered about getting there that's going to help us women here today? Because I'm no different than all y'all listening to this show today. I am no different. I have my moments. If somebody says something to me, like my friend Rhonda Britton would say, do I look fat in this? I'm being like, oh, diet, diet, diet. So help me out here.
Well, there's a couple of things. I think one of the most important things to get is that what people think of you is none of your business. It sounds really crazy, but it's true, because what people think of you and even say about you is really about what they feel about themselves and how they're processing stuff. So that can get you really tangled up, and you'll go down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. So I heard that once before, and I was like, what does that really mean? And I really spent some time with it. And I make a habit of tuning out what everybody else's opinions are, because their opinions of me don't matter. My opinion of me matters. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm up to. I know what I'm, working on. And, that it's really, really important to just tune all those other people out. The other thing that is really sad is, if you really think about it, the way we treat other people, typically, the hater piece is there for sure. But, on the spiritual journey, you would think that most of us doing this, like, we are so compassionate and kind to other people in our life. We get absolutely, we cringe when you hear a friend talk ugly about herself, and she's this brilliant, beautiful soul, right? You're like, why would you say that? So what's crazy is, why do we allow, ourselves to think these awful, like, to have this voice track running that is such an ugly narrative, that is so hateful about ourselves, but we wouldn't be that way to someone else. So I think the first step is to really get, like, you got to stop your own voice track. It starts and ends there. Stop your own negative voice track and start really tuning into how damaging that is. And that's step number one. And then also tuning out anything negative you're going to hear, because you're not going to hear the negative stuff from people who really know you. You never do. Right?
Well, except if you're like my friend Linda that I've known for 44 years, then at that point, if 44 years later, if we are not going to be absolutely honest with each other, we might as well hang it up. But
hopefully it's done with great love.
That's what I wanted to say.
Somebody,
That's what I want to. That's what I would love to hear you talk about, because you coach women how to have these conversations, right? So isn't this equally important? It's not always so much what we say, but it's actually more important how we say it, right, Sarah?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the silly things but powerful things that I teach is how to give a love sandwich. And anytime you're going to talk to someone about something that you know is controversial or difficult to swallow or whatever, right? It's a challenging subject. We shut down when people go into things that are controversial. And if you're really loving and compassionate, it's the way I talk to my kids, it's the way I talk to my best girlfriends, exactly, the ones I can be really truthful with, or someone who asks me an opinion and I know what I'm going to say is going to be like, you know, and I always first and foremost, number one is ask permission. Do you really want to know my opinion? Don't just offer your opinions. Do you really want to know my opinion? And then I give it to them in a love sandwich, which says, I love you. You're an amazing woman. And you know I think the world of you. That's love. Second, middle of the sandwich. Here's what you need to hear. You asked me my opinion. Here's my truthful perspective. So tell them what you need to say. And then you end it with love, which is, I hope you were able to hear me because I trust that you know it came from a place of love. And I would only say it because you needed to hear that. You're an amazing woman. I know you're going to do the right thing with this information, or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Then you can actually take it in, and you know that person it's not about them. I mean, it takes time to process that and actually share it in that way. And otherwise, like, I'm just listening to people, and they're, like I said, most of the stuff that's going on out there, the advice that you're hearing from people, they don't know you, and they don't have, in my opinion, they don't have the right to chime in if they don't really know you. Tune it out. Just tune it out. If it's your best friend and they're, you know, and they're giving you advice about something, sometimes I stop and just take several good deep breaths, and I have to decide, is she sharing that? Is it about me? Or is she sharing that because it's where her perspective is right now? Because sometimes even that's a little like, and I had a great friend text me the other day. I was doing some work stuff, and she texted me. She said, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Why?" She goes, "Because that's not your voice I'm hearing." I was like, "Oh." So the other thing is, if we're sharing advice, the whole love sandwich, really, I should take a step backwards. You got to just take a couple of deep breaths and center yourself. I always do. You guys, you've heard me now a lot. I put my hands on my heart, and I just take some breaths, and I ask my heart to speak, not my head. Get out of your head. It's like, what is my heart really telling me? How should I reply?
Yeah. You know, let's take a short break, because when we come back, one of the things we're going to talk about is, you know, love. Exactly. What does love have to do with it? What's love got to do with it? And what does that actually mean, you know, in terms of, you know, how we're looking at the world and what we're looking at and why we're looking at it, you know, and this is why Sarah's in the house right now, because one of the things we're going to be talking about is how she works with women to help stand in your power. How to be, if you look at the title of the show, brazen, beautiful, and brilliant. What's not to love? Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to give you some information about how you can work with Sarah and what she's got going on to help each and every one of us step into that full time. We'll be right back. Treat the body and expand the soul on June 1st with Lynn Brown. In this all-inclusive retreat, you'll treat your body with breakout sessions in the various elements of nature. Enjoy fireside chats while harnessing the healing energy of fire. Allow more light with more ease and activate that connection between the body and spirit. Call 206-931-7356 or visit lynnmbrown.com. Tune in to the hit show Mouthing Off with Chef Rossi. Chef Rossi mouths off about different subjects in pursuit of breaking down walls and opening up your minds. She and Dr. Pat banter back and forth, taking from the headlines of the day on subjects that reach beyond what goes on in the world into your hearts. And go to theragingskillet.com to find out more and let Chef Rossi know what's on your mind.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404. Awareness is universal. Establishing a living awareness through meditation brings peaceful, healthy, and creative well-being into your everyday life. The practice of living awareness, Spirit Fire's own meditation practice, is built on this belief and is designed for every level of practitioner. Each year, Spirit Fire hosts living awareness meditation retreats that allow you to explore the practice in depth at our retreat center in beautiful Western Massachusetts. Introduce yourself to meditation and the practice at the Foundation's retreat. Attend, in silence, a silent meditation retreat focused on mindfulness, presence, and nature, or be engaged with the meditation sittings themselves at the Deepening Retreat. Start adding to your awareness and attend a meditation retreat designed to cultivate consciousness in your everyday life. For details on attending a Living Awareness meditation retreat, visit upcoming events at www.spiritfire.com.
After all you put me through, you think I despise you. But in the end, I want to thank you, because you made me that much stronger. Well,
Oh, yeah. Benny knows that's one of my favorites. Absolutely. One of my favorites, Benny. Thank you so much for that. Fighter. Yeah. And, you know, that's so much part of the journey that we all say yes to. Sarah, thank you for today. I'm Dr. Pat. Sarah Loos joining me here today. You know, we're talking about what does it mean to show up as brazen? What does it mean? And how can we fully accept, embrace, and step into that in ways we can't imagine? But Sarah, your work, everything you've done to get you to where you are now, all the training, the various groups of women that you work with, it doesn't matter what it is you've done to learn to get you to here. You continue to bring opportunities for people to literally show up in ways they haven't before. And so right now, you've got something going on that literally can help women transform their lives. Please tell them what that is.
Oh, yeah. So in a few weeks, on May 20th and 21st, I'm going to be down in LA, and I'm doing a really deep dive intensive workshop on self-love. It's going to be 4 hours of fun. And I need to say that because so many people think this stuff is painful and, oh, I don't want to dig that stuff up. It's going to be fun. It's really about learning how to see yourself as brazen, beautiful, and brilliant. We're going to be asking questions that'll get you thinking on your toes about how you respond to yourself, and most importantly, so that you can turn around and see your reflection and be madly in love with her. Because each of you listening out there, I promise you, you are more brilliant and amazing than you know right now in this moment. And I want to help you find that woman that you can fall in love with. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a time that, Sarah, if anybody listened to the show, one of the shows we did yesterday across Facebook, we talked about this being a time to strengthen as women every muscle we have, so that we can truly show up and be our authentic selves. Now we're talking about what's love got to do with it. And that's a question, of course, we've seen that question, in Tina Turner and the work that she's done, the music she's done. But it has multiple meanings. Tell us what they are. Tell us what this has come to mean for you and the people you work with.
Well, for me, it's what love has everything to do with it. If you can't love yourself, there are so many skills that you won't have. I mean, you straight up won't have them, which is interesting. Studies actually show that self-love and self-acceptance lead you to be able to have less stress and actually give you the ability to be better at problem solving. And I love this, coping mechanisms. So life is all about coping, right? And so I have all these women that I work with, and they'll come to me with these very heavy problems, and they've been struggling and trying to figure their way out from under mostly their unhappiness. And what happens mostly is they're middle-aged, and they're starting to realize that they've spent their entire life focused on loving everybody else except themselves, and now they don't even know where to turn. And love is the fuel for all of this work. Self-love and self-acceptance is where it all starts. So I have clients that I love seeing this happen for them. When we break it down into small steps, big breakthroughs. They break it down into small steps of things that they can practice daily over and over and over again, so that they build up, I call it your love quotient. Your tank of capacity to love yourself, the more that's filled up, the more everything else in your life will feel so much easier and come with grace and ease.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think this is really the game changer, though. It's not that we can't push through things. It's not that we can't, plow through them, grit our teeth and go through them. But what you're talking about is ease and grace. And, what is it that we don't quite grasp yet? What is it about the love that we receive and give that still stops us from embracing self-love? I've heard you say it's so much bigger than just liking what you see in the mirror. How so?
Well, Pat, it's really about can we go beyond the visual?
Yeah.
What you need to understand about how brilliant and amazing you are is only going to be learned with your eyes closed. Get the visuals, change the context. And we live in a world that holds us in this very tight mold of everything is surface. And so it was interesting when I was researching just to see if there were some things I hadn't thought of for self-love. I'm putting together this workshop, and I had this radio show, and I'm also doing a webinar tonight that's about self-love. And I was like, maybe there's some other tools out there. And a lot of the conversations are very surface about self-love. It's like, oh yeah, treat yourself nice. Go get you should actually treat yourself to a massage or a pedicure, or, especially Mother's Day is coming up. So all these things start making the radar. Let's let mom have a little break. I want to take it deeper than that, or, go get a facial, or get her hair done or nails done. And a lot of that has a lot to do with how you look. And I'd like to go deeper than that, because the context of really pausing, and by the way, that's one of the most important tools. Could you give yourself a pause button? Mm. I loved how you were talking about how we can definitely push through. Women are resilient. Yeah. I mean, I think I saw research before that said women are better in combat than men because, man, they're tough. We give birth to children. We're badasses.
Yeah.
We can push through and accomplish a ton, but do we have to? Do we need to? And if we can just get to collect yourself, put the pause button on, and go inside, close your eyes, go inside and go, what does my heart really desire? And it's to really shift the energy off of having to and forcing and pushing and learning, getting really comfortable and familiar with a woman who is all about grace and ease. That's how we're brilliant. Mm-hmm. Women with grace and ease accomplish stunning, phenomenal things that most people, with the help of spirit, because that's what we're doing. We're connecting to ourselves from inside, that beautiful spirit being that we are. And from that place, things flow. I mean, you hear the word flow, but it's amazing when you actually experience it, because it just happens on your behalf instead of you having to do it. Mm-hmm. You have so much more enthusiasm and so much more compassion and so much more excitement for life, that the things you need to do for your kids and your husband and all the other people in your life just roll out of you easily. And then there's all this big window of time left for you to go inside and go, what does Sarah need? What does Pat need? What do I need? Yourself. And asking yourself those questions. What would light your heart up? I like to ask women questions that they probably haven't ever asked themselves before. Can I do some of those right now, Pat?
I would love to. Go ask away. Come on.
This sounds crazy, but instead of asking, ask, how could I be kinder to myself? How could I be more gentle and compassionate to myself? Ask some questions that are like, where have I become a ghost in my own life? In other words, where are you just hanging out transparent and you're not really present? And to many women, that is in a hobby or a life purpose calling that they have put on hold, and they think they can't get to it till everybody's out of the home. Mm-hmm. And they don't have to do that. I teach women lots of ways to be lit up again with her heart's desires and juggle like home life as well. That's huge. Where are you compromising your heart? It's a similar question.
Yeah.
Where are you compromising your heart's desires?
Yeah.
And in a lot of places, that's in your relationships. In a lot of places, that's in how you're dealing with your children. That's all self-love stuff. I mean, women don't realize that. Like, if you're compromising, then that's all about lack of love, lack of appreciation and respect for yourself and what your knowing knows is best for you.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because, in every business model that I've ever used in organizations, especially when we're looking at that, any questionnaire you fill out, people believe at the get-go that compromise is the end game. Win-win is the end game. Compromise is in the middle. And it means that exactly what you just said. It means that, you know what, Sarah, I really desired this, but I'm going to settle for this. When we come back, we're going to talk about that. And Sarah's going to tell us a little bit about what love potion number 9. Stay tuned, everyone. We will be right back.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
When your body is awakened, your spirit comes alive. Dana Canetto is a transformational guide, embodiment coach, and spiritual mentor assisting women in realigning with their truth and embodying who they are by connecting to the wisdom of their body. Tune in every month on Transformation Talk Radio and the Dr. Pat Show Network for Body Divinity Radio with Dana Canetto. For more information on Dana and her services, visit danacanetto.com. That's DANACANNETO.com.
Gifted intuitive healer and spiritual teacher Sara Loos brings her unique style to the hit show Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Tune in each month as Sara turns reality on end and shows us how to experience expansive results with simple yet powerful steps. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. For show details and upcoming topics, visit SaraLoos.com. That's SARALOOS.com.
Tune in to Dynamics of Diversity Radio, scripting the new narrative for immigration with leading experts Kripa Upadhyaya and Steve Tanijo on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This show will remove the noise that often accompanies discussions on this topic and share a new perspective on the dynamics of immigration and diversity, ever reminding us that together we are all at the core of innovation, excellence, and positive change. Visit OrbitLawPLLC.com for upcoming topics.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, Talk Radio to Thrive By. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Yeah! Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
You must try to ignore that it means more than that. Oh, what's love got to do? Got to do with it. What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Oh yeah, one of the best concerts I have ever seen. And coming from somebody that was like at Woodstock, yeah. Sara Loos is in the house, my co-host today. Sara, before we talk about Love Potion number 9 and anything else here, because, you know, this next part of the show, you're literally going to hand over some ways for people to change. Before we do that, please, how can folks contact you? How can they work with you?
Oh, yeah. So a couple of ways. Best thing, go to my website. It's SaraLoos.com. It's SARALOOS.com. Yeah. And there's a button on there for personal mentoring. I do one-on-one personal private mentoring. I do a lot of that by phone, guys. So it doesn't matter where you are. I work with people. I've worked with people in Europe and Canada, Alaska, all over. So wherever you are, odds are we can make that work. And I also have group events and workshops, and there's soon some very awesome online training things that you can do in the luxury of your own home. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. This part of the show, and when we're talking about the idea of enacting brazen, beautiful, brilliant you, what's not to love, this part of the show is where we get to really decide if we are going to open up that little bottle and drink that Love Potion number 9.
Yes. And I hope you will. So this is really about when you realize, I might want to try this. I want to see how this could change me, right? And what could I be doing? And some women out there are probably going, I'm doing a lot of the stuff already. I know I'm on the right track. I want to tell you guys a little story about a woman that I've worked with for a really long time. And there was this differential that she wasn't getting. And sometimes it's really hard to get people to recognize the energy in which they do things. And so we've been working together on a lot of, things about how she's being a parent, and she wanted to parent better. And we'd worked on lots of things about how she actually was learning a lot of intuitive skills. I love to teach intuitive knowing and just tapping into that resource and so forth. And what I noticed was that we started doing this beautiful group, women's group. And she was toying now, her kids are getting older, she was toying with the idea of wanting to make some money. A lot of women out there, we put our lives on hold, and she really wanted to, start her career that she was going to love. And what happened was she kept making excuses. She didn't realize she was making excuses. She kept having excuses for why she couldn't. She's a beautiful, exquisite painter, and she was making excuses for why she couldn't kind of get into this hobby and turn it into somewhat of a career using her passion, which I know she's here to teach intuitive painting. And when we went through this process, what she realized is that everything she's been doing is outside of herself, going through the motions of like she's doing it. The easiest way I can explain this is you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. And when we went through some of the exercises and tools that I work with, all of a sudden, for the first time, she had this like hit. It's like, you get like hit upside the head but in a beautiful way of like, oh my gosh, my entire life, I have been looking to please other people. And I'm just using words here, and it sounds like I know everybody can relate to this. You're just going through the motions, trying to please other people. And when she really dropped in and said, what is it going to take for me to really love me, to love my body where it is, whatever stage of my life it's in? She was also an avid athlete that just like kind of ran herself, into the ground and was like extreme about her eating habits. That's what the other thing we do is we think, we've got to exercise all the time and eat perfect, gorgeous, organic food. And she got extreme about that. And everything became so intense. And so what I like to point out to people is any of these things that you're doing that are supposed to be for self-love, look at the energy of them and really pause. And that pause button is huge. Pause and breathe and just notice, are you feeling exhilaration or are you feeling intensity? Intensity is not a positive energy. It's not. I mean, we will allow it to, it can fuel other energies that are positive, but if it's intensity in the way that like you're gripping and pushing and all of that is a negative version of very intense masculine energy. And a lot of women today just to like make it in this world, we clip over and use a whole lot of male energy. And when we lose our female energy, that nurturing and willingness actually to receive, all of a sudden we come out of balance. So for her, it was all about receiving self-love, receiving grace, like to actually believe she was worthy and deserving of receiving support and love in a way that she didn't know existed. And the hugest light bulb went on, and so many things changed for her.
Yeah, it's enormous. I mean, it's enormous when that light bulb goes on because, it's almost as if, why haven't I been doing this all along? Right?
Yeah.
But not everybody's got the tools you're going to share now, right? I mean, they just don't have them.
Yeah. And, so this is the tip of the iceberg, I always say, because these are, I've got a short window of time with you, and I just really love to dive in. And what I do for clients, by the way, is when people show up, I don't have a curriculum that's set and structured that's like A to Z. I show up, I meet what your needs are, and I respond based on your needs. I think that's really important because different tools for different people, one size doesn't fit all. So what I want to share with your audience, Pat, are some tools that I know across the board work and are really powerful to help you just fill up that tank a little bit more and be thinking about, am I really loving myself? Am I really appreciating myself so that I can move on and be happier with my life and have, frankly, the power and energy to face all the other things that I need to face in my day and my life? So one of the things I love to do is frequently because of the negative chatter, we have to turn to our world to know the truth of who we are. And this isn't about validation. This is for the people who really are down on themselves. And they're so used to the negative chatter that they believe it became their truth. So you have to listen to the rest of the world. So what you do is spend a week and go beyond that window of time, obviously, if you're enjoying the exercise. Spend a week really collecting all the compliments you hear from your world. So if someone says, Pat, you are so comfortable and make people at home. You make people comfortable. I really enjoy that about you. And Pat does. So Pat would turn that into, I am a person who makes others comfortable in their skin, or a statement similar, right? Mm-hmm. And if somebody said, you are such a loyal friend, I just love that about you. You make a statement that says, I am a loyal friend. And then you take all those statements. You've turned the compliment into a first person I am statement. The most powerful thing you can ever say is I am. So watch what you put in that blank, right? That's the in and of itself. That's a big gem.
Yeah.
Then you take those pieces of paper and put them in some beautiful box or vessel, and then just keep collecting them. I've got a vessel that I've been collecting for years. And if I have a bad day, because we all do, we're all human, I go to my love vessel and I read those statements to remind myself who I really am. And so you read those out loud. Some people like to do it before they go to bed, which is great. So you just feed yourself all that yummy, lovey nutrition. Yeah. This is who I really am.
Yeah.
The truth of who I am. It's really great. And then just also using those statements as decrees. So again, it's replacing the negative self-talk with positive, empowering talk. Again, I am is the most powerful thing you can say. So you can listen to those things, and there might be things that you could set and just create a whole entire list of the things you've accomplished that you're proud of in your life, and turn those into I am statements, because that's still who you are. A lot of women, after their teenage years or their early 20s, 30s, and they drop into a role as a mom or parent or wife or whatever it is, they forget who they are and they lose touch with that brilliance inside themselves. So make that list and create those I am statements. The other thing is, please, when you are going to look in the mirror, I call this a different kind of mirror work. When you look in the mirror, we can all find flaws because we're not perfect. We're not supposed to be. It's a beautiful way to turn imperfections into gratitude statements. So for me, I'm just going to own it. I am in my 50s, and I have got my getting my little older woman belly. I have been tiny my entire life, and my belly's showing up. And I would really like my belly to be gone. I'm just going to put it out there. I would. I'm not going to hate myself for it, because instead what I do is I look in the mirror, I put my hands on my stomach, and I say, I am so grateful for you, my sweet belly. You bore 2 gorgeous children, and I am grateful. So do you see where that goes?
Yeah.
It goes to this deep place where you're like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Turn your imperfections into gratitude statements. There's something in everything. My wrinkles, I'm getting the wrinkles, and I wish, and I'm not going to go and get a ton of facial surgery, plastic surgery. I'm not, because I'm determined to let people know that I shine from the inside out, not from the outside in. And if we are changing ourselves, if we're constantly changing ourselves, and a little bit of stuff, fine, if you want to do a little bit, but I'm talking about that total, like, you pull one string and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to do another, and the next thing you know, you're looking like everybody else. There's a little mold out there, right?
Yeah.
When you do that, you're saying to your soul on a soul level, I'm not good enough. And that's bull. We call them bull on that, right?
Yeah. And, the other part of it is unlike me, some people may not want to get to the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of the bottom of whatever is going on in their lives, to end up in the pit and then have to crawl yourself out. Right. But what I hear you sharing is that whether you are stuck completely or a teeny weeny bit, there's something for everybody. And what I would like to do is just skip this break, because there's so much to talk about and it's such an important conversation. But you're saying to folks, it doesn't really matter where you are.
Exactly. It really doesn't. Wherever you are, in this, if you have a desire, when we're talking about this, there's this sting, the little, like, I call them the little shards that are like, I'm going to get you to notice. I am going to make you notice. Then listen. And it just says, girl, there's something more here. And we can meet you. We can meet you with tools that are gentle. All of them are gentle, by the way. All of them are gentle, sweet, nurturing, easy. We take it at your pace. We take it at your capacity.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Absolutely. So I've got women who are, I call them like the turbo track people. They'll show up with so much enthusiasm. They're like, I just want to get this over with. I just want to So what's going on with me? And I'm like, all right, so give them a few tools. It's kind of like, okay, here's your anesthesia. If we're going to go in that deep, here's your anesthesia. And it's so powerfully fast. But the point is, whatever you have going on, most importantly, if you're just starting, if you're in the middle, if you're in the end, just know genuinely, truly, you're never alone.
Yeah.
And whether you're working with me or someone else who does this kind of work, you're never alone, and it's not just about us. I am so clear that all you got to do is go, God, Spirit, Creator, all that's divine, be with me, give me the truth, give me the answer. Let me find the resources who are here to help me. Let me recognize those who I can totally trust and be myself with, and find out how to love myself just as I am. Show me those people, and those people are going to show up. They're going to be there. It may be me, it may be someone else, but listen and take the steps, because I know for me, I love this work, and I love my favorite thing. My idol is Mother Teresa, and I'm like, to give your life to help others. I just help others in a different way than she did. I'm in this world. I am clear. I'm on this planet to help women especially. I do work with men. I love helping women most, because I feel like there are a lot of resources, have been historically for a really long time for men. And women are just starting to get the real support that I think they require. And so I want to be here for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, part of the thing that I really grabbed onto when you were speaking about it is this notion of how do we all, first of all, even recognize that there is something within ourselves that are catapulting us forward or holding us back. It's kind of like, wait a minute. I hear you, Pat, but I'm not sure I really touch upon it. But the work that you do with folks, especially the work that you're going to be doing in the LA area, is to work with people individually as well as a group, so that everyone, number one, tunes in on what it is they want to bring forth. And that's what I love about this. I mean, let's talk a little bit about, love is coming to town and people are excited about it. So what are some of your folks saying about what you've put together and your private mentoring programs as well? Because people have a lot to say about the work they do. What do they say to you?
That's putting me on the spot, and I'm a very humble person, but I will say, okay, I have clients who, it's my favorite thing, so I'm gonna look what I just did. Wow, do you see what I just did, Pat?
Wow,
I did it too.
Yeah, we all do it.
Oh, we all do it. So it's like, I'm gonna own what is the truth of me, and I'm gonna love it right now. I get to do this work. Every day I wake up and I'm like, I get to do this work. And when somebody asks me to, like, basically, I'm going to use the word brag about it, then all of a sudden I shrink and I put myself in a box. Okay, so I'm going to look what I just did, girls, ladies, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to own this. The work that I do changes lives. It does. And I know that because I have clients who thank me profusely and say, there's nothing like when somebody says to you, you saved my life. You changed my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know how I would ever I would ever be able to repay you. And it's not about that. It's about, I get the gift of knowing that I helped someone get on a trajectory that is going to help change our world. And that's really what this is about. So it's about helping women really find the truth of who they are and their capacity to be all that they're put here to be. So I get great. And probably one of my favorite things someone ever said to me is, she was like, Sarah, you're like the perfect storm. Huh. Your compassion and your empathy and your intuition and your tools, all that combined together. Like every time we sit down in a session, something major happens. And I just love that. And I just want your listeners and everybody out there to know that, like, I don't take credit for any of that, because I literally, I am working hand in hand with Spirit, with God, Creator. I sat down to do these radio shows. I used to get really nervous about doing that, and I wasn't doing it very well because I thought I was doing it. I just now know I got to get out of the way. So I go with my tools. I have a lot of healing modalities that I'm trained in, and I go reach up, get in touch, and I'm like, divine creator, everything that is and all about love in this world. What does Pat need right now? What does Sarah need right now? Whoever that client is that's sitting in front of me, and you're going to hear it from the voice of God. And how, could it get any better? I don't think so. No, I really don't think so. So what's going to show up is going to be the message that you were meant to hear, not because I created it or thought you needed to hear it. It's because someone much bigger and better and more powerful than me chose you to hear it. Yeah. Yeah.
And, when we think about that and take a closer look at it, one of the things that I'm really struck by is, how we are so anti-us. And what I mean by that is, this idea that we don't stop long enough to at least even put ourselves second, as opposed to even putting ourselves first. But, I don't think we know how, Sarah. And that's actually what you're inviting people to learn.
I am. So I'm going to say two things. One is, if you can at all possible get to LA and do this workshop with me, it's going to be a rather small group because I really do like to get in there and work with you one-on-one and see you eyeball to eyeball. If you can get there, it's May 20th and 21st. The 21st, I have some private sessions I'm doing. The 20th is the workshop. Go to my website, saraloos.com, and check out that workshop. The other thing I want to say is, if you're not able to get to that workshop, come back to my website, because we're going to be recording that and packaging it so that you can do it on your own. You may live far, far away from LA and not be able to be there. So I want to make that accessible and available to you. So come back to the website, be checking in there a lot, because there are going to be tools that you can do remotely from wherever you live. And the last thing I want to say is, if you can't even get to any of those, just because I love you and I want you to grow and become the most amazing person you can be, here's one more tool. Make a date with yourself. We schedule so much for everybody else. Please schedule a love appointment with yourself once a week, and make that appointment so important. Like if it was the Queen, you wouldn't cancel that appointment. And in that window of time, do something that lights you up, that really you love. And it may be something that, and a lot of people literally, Pat, tell me, I don't even remember what I like doing. I'm like, okay, so go back to when you were a child. What did the child version of Pat love? What did she like to do? I know for you it was table tennis, and you're still doing it, right? Which is awesome. Well, you gotta go and get to that place of what did I do with passion and abandon, just reckless abandonment, just giggle, laugh, happy, and go do something like that for yourself at least once a week. And do not break that appointment. Unless, as I always say to my kids, you do not interrupt this unless something's on fire or you're bleeding profusely. Those are the only exceptions. That appointment is so critical. That is step number one. and showing up for yourself and recognizing once you do it, it's kind of like a hot bath and you didn't know you were dirty and all that stuff starts floating up. You're like, dang, I didn't know I was dirty.
Yeah.
When you do some of that stuff, I'm being silly and yet, truthful. So, when you do this appointment for yourself, you'll start to recognize that feels really good. And boy, do I need more of that.
Yeah.
That might be your entry into the entree, which is the workshop, the private mentoring or whatever you require.
Yeah. And that's what I love about what you're saying. It's like there are so many things that you're providing people with to take the journey and begin the change, because we don't have to live in the pain of our lives. We don't have to live in the pain. Sara, thank you for a great show today. Thank you for all that you do. And yeah, who wouldn't want to go to LA, especially if you're up here in the Pacific Northwest like I am? Getting a little raise always works. Sara, thank you for a great show.
Yeah. Thank you, Pat. Thank you.
You've been listening to Small Steps, Big Breakthrough Radio with Sara Loos. In each show, Sara helps us destroy sabotaging beliefs and behaviors to rewire our thinking and launch us to embracing what we're capable of creating. Expect an enlightening bend on what you currently believe is possible. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Don't fret, if you've missed Sara live, visit SaraLoos.com and download the podcast. That's Sara, LOOS.com.
The preceding audio was via a Skype call.